So many home buyers and home sellers have been asking me about the real estate commission changes in 2024. It's huge news. The media is having a field day, and it's news that every prospective or current homeowner should be aware of. There are a lot of legal considerations with these big changes, but today I'll be addressing several issues, including what happened, what's new, the implications for buyers and sellers, and try to determine if the outcomes of the commission changes are good for you as a consumer that may consider buying or selling a home. It's important to know that I am not an attorney. I do not provide legal advice. Heck, I have no legal training whatsoever. I'm just a regular dude. I'm a local realtor here in Central Florida, where my team and I are paid commissions by helping our customers to buy and sell homes. We've been helping buyers and sellers for many years, and we've got a long established record of satisfied or happy customers. In fact, I was leery of recording this. As those of you that have been watching my videos over the last few years know, I try to avoid taking a stance on topics that could be considered political or even divisive. This topic is one that has exposed some really polarizing viewpoints. The problem is that our buyers and our sellers have been asking a lot of questions. They've been asking good questions. As these changes have been implemented, I've been concerned that consumers may not be able to find accurate information regarding what has actually transpired. This channel is really an entertainment channel, providing local information and opinions about the Central Florida area and our local real estate market. So I questioned if this is really necessary. But after a lot of thought and after a lot of prayer, I decided that you needed to know what was going on from a local realtor's perspective. Per a magazine on the National Association of Realtors website, the National Association of Realtors and the largest industry brokerages, the ones with the deepest pockets, were accused of violating antitrust laws and were subsequently found guilty by a jury. The plaintiffs allege that the real estate commissions are just too high and that realtor practices artificially inflated commissions. Now, maybe I got it all wrong, but my understanding is that a bunch of guys got together after selling their homes. I think it was out in Missouri. They were upset about having to have paid the buyer's realtor when they sold their homes. So they went and hired a high-powered attorney that set out to make a bundle of dough, and man, he did. I think he got like $256 million. The big result of all these real estate commission changes in 2024 is that commissions for a buyer's agent, the one showing the home, advising and negotiating on the buyer's behalf, is no longer noted on the multiple listing service. It used to be that a seller was required to pay at least $1 to have their home on the MLS. Now it's $0. I know, it's kind of silly, but here's the big part. Additionally, every buyer that wants to tour a home with a buyer's agent must sign a document, a contract if you will. Now this contract outlines that commissions are negotiable, as they've always been. It goes on to note that if the seller is not offering a commission to the buyer's agent to procure a buyer, that the buyer is then responsible for paying the buyer's agent's negotiated commissions. Now, I said earlier that I receive commissions from the sale of homes. I also said that I'm a realtor, and the trade association that I work for and its realtors were found guilty. So should I be angry about this lawsuit? Well, no, not at all. Those of you that know me know that I'm all about consumer advocacy. I'm all about capitalism and the free market. I'm also 100% in favor of the free market's invisible hand. Now, do I think it's silly? Absolutely. I believe it's a whole lot of talk about a minor procedural change where the attorneys are the big winners. Now, perhaps in other areas or other states, artificially inflating commissions has occurred, but I've never seen a single instance in my 11-year career of it happening here in Central Florida. Are there questionable characters in the real estate market? Heck yes, I've met a few of them, but they're surely the minority, and although I may think their ethics were questionable, were they conspiring to artificially inflate commissions? No, not at all. Before we get to some implications for home buyers and sellers, if you're finding value here, then hit the like and subscribe buttons. If you'd like more content like this, then hit that little notification bell down below so that you're notified whenever I post other videos just like this. Of course, give me a call if you've got real estate needs anywhere at all, as I've got a nationwide connection of realtors. If you're thinking of selling a home, your first thought might be that you've hit the jackpot if you don't have to pay any buyer's realtor. But many sellers that I've been working with have told me that they do want to pay for a buyer's realtor. They believe that they'll get a higher net sales price if more realtors bring more buyers to see their home. They've noted that they're worried that they'll have less qualified buyers if a buyer has to pay their realtor and they'll have less funds available to qualify to purchase their home. A few sellers have noted that they're concerned that buyers won't make an offer on their home if those buyers have to pay their realtor's commissions to work for them. Now, these sellers voice concerns that buyers will move on to homes that do offer buyer's agent commissions. Now, I can't really say if any of this will happen, as it's my intention here just to report what I've heard from my customers. Are these changes good for the consumer? Well, I don't know, maybe, it's possible, but I'd say that it's questionable if you're a first-time home buyer or a veteran, or for that matter, any buyer without an abundance of discretionary cash laying around to be able to afford the purchase of a home. This group of consumers may not be able to afford to pay a realtor to advocate on their behalf, in addition to the closing costs and the other purchase expenses. Now, if you're a loaded buyer and money isn't an issue at all, then it may have zero impact on you whatsoever. As before, prospective buyers could go straight to the listing realtor, who is paid by the seller, and try to negotiate by themselves to avoid having to pay a buyer's realtor commissions. If you're a master negotiator and very familiar with the forms and how the process works, then going straight to the listing realtor could be a wise move. If you're a home seller, then on the surface, not paying a buyer's agent could be a financial windfall if you aren't like one of those sellers I spoke of a minute or so ago. In light of what I've been hearing from my customers, I think it's really too early to tell if the real estate commission changes are actually good for the consumer. At this point, I think the only real winners are the attorneys. However, the free market will ultimately determine if these changes are good for the consumer. If lower income buyers can compete and commissions do fall, then yes, it could end up being a great change for the consumer. But it may be a year or a few years or maybe a decade before we're going to know if these changes are good as a whole. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.